This talk is by Dhruv Verma. Dhruv is working at Wetlands International South Asia and is associated with the Asian Waterbird Census. And today he will present a talk on the importance of citizen science for wetlands conservation and waterbird monitoring. And the name of the talk is Asian Waterbird Census, Fostering Citizen Science Networks for Waterbird Monitoring. So I hope you enjoy it.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dhruv Verma, and I work at Wetlands International South Asia. And it's my pleasure to talk about Asian Waterbird Census at this Citizen Science Conference 2020. So, without further ado, let's begin. So, let's start with the background to Asian Waterbird Census. So, this program AWC is under the aegis of IWC, and it initiated in India in 1987. And the objectives were to obtain information of waterbird population in wetlands, monitor the status of the waterbirds as well as their habitat, and inform governments, conventions, public, and other stakeholders on the distribution and trend of waterbirds. Now, it is the longest-running, internationally coordinated citizen science biodiversity monitoring program in the world. And as of date, and as you can see in the map as well, that it covers nearly 25 countries, in the Asia and Australasia region. The major participants in this whole program, they cover the volunteers, the local birders, people having interest in visiting the wetlands, conservation organizations and groups, and even government agencies and their staff members. In India, AWC is jointly coordinated by BNHS and Wetlands International South Asia. Talking about how AWC works, as it is a citizen science program, the data is collected on ground by people having interest in birding. So basically, in a very decentralized manner, the whole AWC is structured. So at the ground level, volunteers and local organizations they collect and gather data. They report it to state and national coordinators. The national coordinators, they have the responsibility of collating, reviewing, and making summaries out of those data. And then the data is uploaded on International Waterbird Census data portal, where stakeholders or user groups such as researchers, managers, and other interested people can use the data for various purposes, be it research, be it making policy document, and so on. Talking about some of the key elements of AWC. So first of all, it is a coordinated effort, and as I told you, it's in a decentralized manner. We have coordinators at national, starting from global, then national, then state, and even in some cases, some district level coordinators are also there. And then it's a one-time assessment of waterbirds at each site. Usually, we prefer the data from the month of January, but depending on the local context, local conditions, we even accept data from December to February. And also, what we prefer and what we have as a protocol is that the site coverage should be standardized. That means, like every year, it is suggested that the census is conducted at one particular location. And the other important thing or element of AWC is that the information on habitat features, such as what kind of ecosystem it is, what is the status, what are the values, what are the threats that can be recorded during the survey. So those things are also recorded by volunteers and checked by the coordinators at different level. And recently, we have also partnered with Bird Count India, and the data is also reported through eBird portal, and it is complemented by information on habitat features as well. Now, talking about the contributions of AWC. Now, talking about the implementation of AWC in India. Um, well, the numbers are not very updated, but still, it will give you a good idea important, or what is the scale of AWC in India, is that a lot of states, UTs have been covered in this program. So we have more than 4,200 wetlands have been reported in this AWC program, which span across 28 states and union territories. And we have, as I told you, we have state coordinators who coordinate these activities on ground. So we have a strong network of state coordinators who have affiliations with either conservation groups, state universities, state departments, or even like in some cases they work independently. So basically, and even thousands of volunteers have contributed to this program. So basically, the AWC has coverage from Himalayas to central India to other biogeographic zones, including coastal as well as island areas. And well, the data or the numbers are not very updated here, but as we have collaborated with eBird, and we are accepting data from eBird as well, so I'm pretty sure the coverage, the numbers that are mentioned here will definitely increase, and we'll have a wider coverage of wetlands, where more states and areas will be covered. The number of volunteers or participants will definitely go up by a huge number, and I think it's good for the program, good for the conservation planning and activities in India. Now, sharing some of the highlights of AWC India from the period of 2006 to 15, is that, as you can see on the map on the left side, it shows how many sites were covered, from different states. And as you can see, so, some areas have very low or even no coverage, and some areas have uh, a very decent and very exhaustive coverage. And on the right side, I've pulled down some of the a snapshot where you can see some of the interesting results. Is that more than 1,400 wetlands were covered, um, and these wetlands were supporting 170 waterbird species, and out of these 170, 142 were migratory. And the data is being reported by more than 1,400 volunteers. And talking about some of the significance, or the relevance of AWC from this report, is that it helps in identifying areas which support large congregations or species, from conservation point of view. For example, from these 1,400 wetlands, around 65 wetlands were identified, which supported more than 20,000 waterbirds. And these sites are not important from conservation point of view, but also supporting the local economy and local livelihoods such as ecotourism and so on. So coming to the conclusion and way forward for AWC in India, based on this decadal report and our recent experience, is that the regularity in annual monitoring and site coverage. We have to increase that. We have to upscale the implementation of AWC in India, because from our previous assessment, the coverage has gone down, especially in areas like Himalayas, Northeast, and other areas. Also, AWC team in India is in process of developing a national strategy for monitoring of waterbirds, and there we are also planning to prioritize, some of the wetlands for multi-season monitoring, which basically aligns with the migration pattern of waterbird species, and depending on the local geographical conditions. And also, there's a need to establish coordination mechanism between coordinators and volunteers, which helps them in improving the capacities to monitor water birds and the state of wetland. And also, As I mentioned in the previous slide, the database helps in identifying wetlands or areas which have scope for getting designated under Ramsar or IPA or World Heritage or similar designations, which basically not only aid biodiversity conservation but also in improving or bringing people into the process. And institutionalization of AWCs is equally important. I think if we can integrate the citizen science program with wetlands management planning, I think it will be a good move, which will help in which will basically help in the process of making the conservation activities more participative. And last but not the least, I think partnering or collaborating with different or other citizen science programs such as eBird or even local initiatives such as Pongal bird count, or the bird count at Pong Dam can help in collecting data in a more efficient manner, which will definitely support the local conservation activities. Coming to the last slide, which talks about the relevance of AWC in context of the national mission on biodiversity and human well-being, is that we have to envision these citizen science programs beyond just a mere birding experience. So on the left, I have listed down some of the excerpts on national mission objectives from NCBS website, and on the right, I have pen down some of the areas where AWC holds link, some relevance for this mission. Is that first of all, it helps in creating awareness and interest among local people to join this group, visit a wetland, and see what kind of natural heritage they have there in their vicinity. It helps in creating a cadre or a pool of professionals who have interest in waterbirds and wetlands. It also helps in developing a database on wetland health as well as waterbird count, that too in a very coordinated and systematic manner, which can be used for various purposes, be it research, management, or even policy making. And also I think it can promote, or maybe um, there might be some case studies where ecotourism activities or the local well-being can be supported through citizen science, and it might even help in re-establishing the socio-cultural linkage between the humans, between the local human society, and as well as the natural ecosystems that are there around. So with these words, I thank you all.
We do have a few little questions about the AWC efforts for you. One is actually from a current user and a volunteer who wants to know what are some common mistakes made by the volunteers who contribute to the AWC. Can you give any tips for avoiding these mistakes or how to prevent them? Dhruv, it seems that your mic is not working.
Hello, can you hear me right now?
Now I can hear you. Yes, perfect.
All right, yeah. So I was, yes. So just a second, I'm like hearing two voice. Yeah. So as it is a coordinated effort, and we have the coordinators who have good experience in birding, in visiting the wetlands, and they know the area and the habitat. So in this way, like we develop a sort of a pool where the coordinators, the volunteers, and everyone, they know each other. And and when they collect the data, it is sent to the local experts, the state coordinators, and they have the responsibility of reviewing the data, asking them if there is any fault or any externalities in the data. So they contact the volunteer or the contributor again to rectify the error. And even to add, in the IWC portal, when we finally upload the data on the portal, there is a limit, or there are some sort of coding where it helps in identifying which entries are abnormalities there.
Okay, very, very good. A couple more questions. So, are there any efforts made by Wetlands International to standardize the methodology used for counting birds, such as like videos that people could watch or protocols to follow?
No, as of now, there is no video, as per my understanding and knowledge. But yes, whenever we upload, or we make the announcement of annual waterbird count, we attach and we provide links on standardizing the site. How people can make KML, and digitize their area of coverage.
Okay, yeah, very good. What mechanisms can be planned for helping the AWC organizers to have a comprehensive and standardized survey? So what can basically we do to help?
So basically, in past few years, we have partnered with Bird Count India, and it was there in the slide as well, that we are accepting data from eBird as well, and but through eBird we get the information on bird count. What we have done is that we provide a link where the contributors can fill a Google form, which talks about the condition of wetland, which basically means what time they surveyed the wetland. They can link their checklist to this wetland assessment form, and then they can feed in more information on that.
Okay, very good, Dhruv. Thank you so much. It was a really wonderful talk that you gave. And I want to thank not only you, Dhruv, but all of our speakers and all of our attendees for being patient with us with our technical issues. I hope the rest of the sessions will go much more smoothly. And the speakers will continue to be available on Slack, of course. So you can continue to ask your questions to them throughout the conference, and they'll try to answer them when they can. We're going to be taking a break now for and about 20 minutes at this point, because we want to try to start the poster session on time. The poster session is going to be at the day 1, 28th September posters channel, and there's no sort of YouTube link for this because these are posters. So what you can do is you can either read the poster or watch the talk that is associated with the poster and ask your questions just like we're doing now. And please try to use a thread. So please try to ask your questions as a thread underneath that poster, as I showed you in my guide to Slack channel. So that will make it easier for us to follow. As you can see with the talks this morning, it was much easier to follow when they were done in the channel. So thank you very much to all of you who are following the instructions so nicely. I know this platform is new, but you're all doing a great job. And thank you to all of our 4 speakers. It was fantastic. And we'll see you back at the poster session in about 20 minutes. Thank you.